Alright, so starting today's video a bit weird compared to any other videos. I'm on my mobile phone here. So this week it's been a very, very tough one. And you're going to find out at the end of the video what happened. But we're going to plough on through it as we do. Before we do start the video, you're going to go straight into it now shortly. I lost all of the footage that I took. About 6 hours of footage in total I lost. I put the SD card into the computer as I normally do, transfer my files, just getting them ready then to be able to use on my software just to do my editing. It said it was transferred, completed, took the card out, formatted it, but when I looked, they weren't there. So what I done then was just went around and I'm going to try to plot it all together. It might look like a jumble of stuff, but I'm going to show you what we actually were working on. We do have some footage that we're able to recover, but we're going to plot it together somewhere or other, and then we'll give you our update of what happened beginning of the week at the end of today's video. Some of the footage I lost, I'm just going to go through it really quick because normally I make my videos of actually doing the work and not talking about the jobs when they're done. So this is a once-off, but I do want to cover the kind of work that we did get done because it was an extremely busy week. So you might remember that we had issues with a sump pump, which is in the bottom of our milking parlour here, which basically is right under these mats. There is a steel lid that's about 4 foot by 4 foot, and it's about 3.5 foot deep, and that catches all the water that's in this pit that runs down into that sump, pumps it out through a 2-inch pipe into a tank in the yard. So it's an essential thing. You can't do it out because if it stops working, this place here will flood. The mats will lift up with the ground. It's happened before. It's not such a nice thing. We had an issue in the past 3 months with it, as in it wasn't working automatically anymore. We had to actually use this switch here on the wall to turn it off and on. And so we had planned to take that away and get it fixed, but we didn't get time to do that because as of last Saturday on the bank holiday weekend, Saturday morning, it stopped working completely. It seized up. This whole place started to flood. We had to lift up the mats after milking. We had to bucket the stuff out. Rotten smell of it. It's just, you know, it's a sump. You get that black stuff on the bottom. It smells like sewage. It gets in your hands. It takes a long time to get it off, so Sinead said. But anyway, we had to lift everything up, take out the pump, and go and get a new pump. A lovely bit of footage of doing all that work, stripping it down, taking the old one out. I set up the new one here, side by side with the old one. They looked identically the same. Liam, electrician, came and he wired it all up. But this one was slightly different, a little bit awkward, because we had to put a capacitor in this one. The other one had a capacitor built into it, this one didn't. It was an external one, but we were able to just put it in nice and handily there. It's got capacitor out on it. And everything turned on, we got everything fixed within a few hours. And now we have a sump pump that works. So this here you're looking at is our old sump pump, and this is the float. So this is the guy that stopped working about 3 months ago, and inside there's a ball. I think it works on a magnet. When this goes up like this, ball falls to the bottom, turns the pump off. When it goes down, ball falls to the top, and the sump starts to work. That's just the simplicity of it. You can adjust it to suit the depth of your sump as well by just loosening this guy here, move this wire across, and the more or the higher this is up, the deeper the water is going to be. So you can adjust it back and forth. We had it at the shortest point because our sump isn't that overly deep. It's probably just about 3.5 foot deep. It's in since 2008. It doesn't owe us anything. And now that we have the new one in, which costs €770 or something like that, I think it was. Not cheap, but we decided to get a good one. I don't want to be going back into that sump anytime soon and rooting at it again. Hopefully the one we have in now will last equally as long as this one. So the next job we took into was clearing the yard up above, and we do have that footage, so we picked that up here. Sunday morning here. I'm only going to spend an hour at this because I want to get away for a couple of hours later on, and we have a cow going to calve probably about 4 or 5 o'clock this evening, judging by the way she looks at the moment. It's just gone 9:30 now in the morning, so have my girls probably coming up now in a wee while. I need to be fit to get in here with machinery. I want to start making some room. But let's not talk about it, let's just tear into it. And just like that, we have the space back in our yard. Alright, so that's the pile that warmed us twice. Well, the coal's just finishing off. They're turning off the milk machine now. It'll go off in a couple of minutes. a couple of seconds maybe. It'll probably go off in the background now as I'm speaking. But anyway, we're on to Monday evening now, and there it goes. Monday evening now, and a job I want to get done. Last year I put it off and I left it after the calving was finished. We're not just fully done calving, but we're using this pen up here. That's a lovely little Aberdeen Angus. Was born last night, 2 o'clock in the morning. Little Angus bull just having a sleep after a feed. But last year we kind of left it on a long finger and we said, oh, she'll come back to it after. And then what happens is you don't come back to it. So this time we're just done using it. I'm going to wash it now. It's already gone 7:30 in the evening. We've wet it down a few times. We took all the stuff out of it here earlier on, and it shouldn't take very long. 40 minutes should wash the whole thing out. So that's what we're going to do. Let's get it done. Just like that, with the help of Nicole, of course, they are in about, look at the camera actually, 41 minutes it says in the camera since we turned it on. We turned the camera on long before we started, so about 30 minutes we had the whole thing done. It's a nice little job to get knocked out of the way. I do notice as well that we have a certain client that keeps coming in here, and we're going to have to do something about that. We have a lot of swallows that comes in here to them vent holes. They come swooping in and they're trying to build anywhere they can, they're trying to build. So all the tops of our rafters there are starting to get plastered with them. You can see up here as well, they're starting to build here again already. I even had to remove 2 nests on top of the heater that were absolutely destroying the heater too. Anyway, job is done. We're going to get wrapped up here and we'll start our next job in the morning. So the Kubota's in here in the shed. We'll talk about what's going on with it at the minute. So in here, there was 2 nice holes just right here on both sides. Not sure why it just decided to come on both of these sides, but it did. So the issue with that, any other dirt that was in the bed of this was going down into them holes, and I could clearly see what it was doing from underneath. You can see where I welded there. Well, I had to extend that and fix all that area because that little box eye on the stair that's carrying that, now there's a good strong floor in this. You can see the angle there and cross members going across, and they're fairly close together as well. There's no rust on any of that, but here was completely rotted out. All that was really left was the very bottom piece, but you could put a screwdriver through it, and that was clearly from that plate above the hole that was there running down on that cross member, and it was just eating it out of it. We've done the very same on the far side here too, just welded in a new piece and everything just tied together nicely. There's actually quite a lot of work in that, and I had about 3.5 hours of footage of doing this work. Lost it all, but it's what we were at, and the MIG welder was fit to go around nicely and just weld that piece in. So we put some rust converter on it first, and then we put 2 coats of Massey Ferguson grey. Anyway, why is it up on axle stands? Well, again, I had footage of all of this, taking off the wheels and explaining what I was doing, and that explanation is we were putting a set of tyres on it. Here is the tyres of the front. You can see they are well worn down. The middle tread is nearly flat. Now, I wasn't intending to do these tyres for another month or two till silage and things was done, but we came out and this wheel was flat the other morning. I had coverage of it, which I lost, and I just said to myself, that's the start of it. I've seen crack with ball tyres on ATVs before. There's even a torn there, look. Once they get down like that, that's all you'll end up having is puncture after puncture. So I just said, we'll go ahead and get it done. But behind you here now is the digger. I'm not going to show you the back of it. I'm currently working on it here today. I was working on it yesterday. We have the motor, the slew motor put back on. We're getting ready now just to put the back arm back on. It's quite a detailed video on that, and I haven't lost the coverage on that one. I took extra special care of it. I want to get it out of the way because we need to strip off this. We need to clear off all this area. We need to clean out the pit because in a very short time we're going to be at silage. There's a lot of work to be done there, and that digger is the first thing we need to get moved out of there. So now that job was done, we had a barrel of water. We filled it full. We put all our calf jackets into a big barrel of water, let them soak for a day or two, and then we laid them all out here and we washed them with the power washer. We just turned the pressure down, and then we took them over and hung them out in the calving pen, which I think we have that footage which we'll share now. Alright, so there's all the jackets that we used the year all washed and all hanging out. To remind you kind of the people who hang out all the football jerseys on the line for the away and home team. They can sit there now for the next lock of days and they'll dry off just naturally there, and then we can fold them up and we can put them away then for the summertime. There's a few of them as well that need new straps and things. I do have new straps, I just have to find someone who's good at stitching and fix a few of them just to get them all ready then, ready for next year. You can see here's the 4 heifer calves that are left to go out. They're still on micro pace, so another 2 weeks, so we'll see how things go. Right, so that's that job done. Let's continue on. Alright, so this brings us to a very tough time in the video. But it's something I can't really skip over just here as I look at Bailey here basking in the sun beside me. You'll notice that someone's missing, and that's Hudson. Normally when you would see me on the farm, one animal you'd always see beside me, and I don't look at him as an animal, my family member, one of my best friends, no matter what I was working on, would be always at my feet. Well, I'm going to keep this short and sweet because it's hard to talk about it. The story goes, it was Monday bank holiday. I was actually doing the welding on that Kubota, and he was laying at my feet. I have footage of him which I lost, which is another massive disappointment to me. Bailey of course as well. Just a normal day. Everything was exactly the same. The sun was shining, people were in good form. And we got to 3:30 that day, and I was doing a bit of work outside my dairy door, going into the milking parlour, and again he was right beside me, and everything seemed to be completely normal. Unfortunately it wasn't. Hudson lay down and went to sleep, and he never woke. Massive shock. Very hard to contemplate it. I'll put it into words. Still think he's going to come run up the hill here after me. But yeah, that day ended very badly. A little bit of info on Hudson, because I know him and Bailey are the kind of the stars of the show, and I have a lot of people who talk about them in nearly every video, and I get a lot of messages about them. So Hudson was born in August of 2014, so that would have made him 11 years old this August coming. He never had a single sick day. He had a little bit of arthritis in his shoulder. He hurt himself when he was about 3 years of age, messing in the garden. He had an awful tendency to jump. You'd be standing beside him and he just jumped like a kangaroo the whole time. He never quit. Didn't do it so much in the last few years because he was getting stiffer, he was getting older. But if he could, I knew he would. He had a really good life, and he brought an awful lot of happiness to me and to my family. Wasn't looked at as a dog. Neither is Bailey. She's never looked at as a dog. They're our family. So Hudson came from a wee place just outside of Oma. I remember the day I went to pick him up, there was 2 dogs. There was one with a red collar and there was one with a blue collar. The one with the blue collar came to me first, and the woman that owned them said, I think that's the dog for you, the one with the blue collar, because it seems to be very attached to you straight away. To our surprise, I pointed at the one with the red that was furthest away from me, who had no intentions of coming over to me. I was told one time by an old man way back when I was very young, never pick the first dog that comes to you. And I always kept that in my mind, some paranoid type of stuff. Makes no sense probably, but it just felt right that I picked that one. I remember myself and my mother went to pick him up. She was at work, and he got sick in the car on the way home. He pooed everywhere and peed everywhere with a wee plastic box that we sat him into. It was like one of those storage boxes, and my mother was nearly getting sick with the smell. So it was a long trip home, but we several stops off just to clean him and stuff. And he was always nervous with vehicles. I don't know, he was always nervous about getting into a vehicle. When he got home, we also had another arrival, and that was our Elena, who's now almost 11. So their birthdays fell around the same time, and they kind of grew up together. He was a very protective dog. What I mean by that is he was never aggressive. Never aggressive at all. He was a big teddy bear, and you'd think to look at him he would scare you sometimes, and everybody was afraid to come up to the house of him. Instead, they should be afraid of her, because she's the one that will attack you. Can be quite wicked, Bailey. She doesn't look it there now, but yeah, she's very protective of her family. But Hudson would always look out for things that were dangerous. So if Elena was outside, or even Saoirse when she came along, if they went near steps or near a wall or anything, he'd always put himself between the wall or between the steps and them. It's remarkable to watch, and you just knew that he was protecting her. He'd walk and she'd put her hand on his back to keep her balanced when she was taking her first steps, and it was just, yeah, it was a joy to watch. But me and him are a special bond, and although me and Bailey get on really well, it's different with Hudson. Bailey is a different personality. She's stubborn, very stubborn. Or Hudson would do anything for you. She will just do it in her own time. She won't eat out of your hand. She won't even eat in front of you. You have to put the food down and go away, and then she'll look to see you gone, and then she eats. We've had 3 of those rough collies, and they've all been the same. It's just the type of them. Where Hudson would eat anything. Ate the trousers if you let him. he got a thing called cauliflower ears, like the rugby players get. It must have busted a blood vessel. So his ear swole up one morning. I brought him into the vet, which was a task. He didn't like going any other places apart from home. Brought him into the vet anyway. He was extremely nervous, and he's so big and so strong that he would break all before him. Not on purpose, he was just big. So I held him, vet drained the blood out of his ear, and said we're going to have to make an appointment to come back in a few days' time to actually fix that blood vessel because it'll fill up again. 2 days later, he was booked in for 10:30 to bring him in and collect him again at 5 o'clock in the evening. Now I said to them, he's going to be hard work, and I said, ring me. It was almost like leaving a baby in. Just ring me if there's any issues. I was worried about him because I know he panics. I said, no problem, he'll be alright with us, we'll handle him, we're doing this all the time. I left him at that time, but I could see on his face, he was watching me. He was glued to my leg, and he was on the lead, and they took him down, put him in a holding pen, said, I'll ring you back later on at 5 o'clock. He had his operation, but instead of 5 o'clock, the phone rung at 11:30. And the words were very different when Hudson was dropped in. It was panic. You could hear it. You could hear this barking going on in the background, and the girl just said, can you come in please and take him away? He's wrecking the place, basically is what she said. So I went in, and we went to where they had holding pens. These were steel cages, like big steel cages for big dogs, small ones for cats, all this type of stuff. And he actually broke the hinge clean off one of the gates, a welded hinge, broke it clean off with his sheer strength that he had. He went out on the floor, he tossed everything that was in his pad, and when I seen him, when I picked him up, all I could see was the steam that was coming off his body. He was in a horrid state. I was just lucky to get him home without anything happening, without him taking a heart attack or something like that, because that's what I was worried about. He was in an awful panic. And he wanted out of that place, and he wanted home. He was fine when he got home, and his ear was fine too. Never give any issues anymore. And part of the good thing about being on social media is we record a lot of videos you guys watch, but we also have an awful collection of videos that we can keep for ourselves, and you don't realise the importance until things like this happen. I have 5 years of doing YouTube, 5 years of Hudson being in nearly every one of those videos, and I'll always have those. So it'll break my heart to watch them. It'll probably take time. I'll cherish them. He's buried right beside our home house, right beside where Star, our last previous dog, was buried. Now Bailey is here, and she's on her own, and remember, them pair were best friends and they were inseparable. They never were split apart. We have to keep a very extra close eye on her. I can tell that she's missing him. It's been a few days now, and I just know her behaviour. She's been extra close to me as well, so we're just having to keep a closer eye on her and make sure that she's okay. It's not a nice thing to have to share on social media. This past few months has been the hardest we've ever had to face. It seems like the hits keep coming, but it's part of the circle of life, unfortunately. And another reason why I share these things and be open with you is because there's lots of people who go through these things, and much, much worse, and you will. If you haven't already, there's a big possibility you will. And it's very important to understand that everybody else does too. The laughs, the crack, back and forth in the camera, doesn't always be like that in real life. Real life affects everybody. We remember everything that's past and present, just like Hudson, just like losing my dad, who, the reason why I sit up here is just over there. I know I can see his resting site directly from here, and that's hence the reason I come up here now every so often. Myself and my family owe both of them a lot. Hudson helped me through the last few months, just not by saying anything, just by being there. Dogs have great sense, and they know when you're not in form, and they know when you're in good form. They know, and he helped me and my family an awful lot. My only hope is maybe he's somewhere else now, bouncing around or keeping someone else happy. Rest well, my boy Hudson. Rest well.